Yeah, guys. Today we are going to do an basic lab. Okay. The basic lab is how to get an internet to our Windows machine with using the firewall. Okay. See, once you install the EVNG, okay, in the VMware, you will get an EVNG prompt like this. Okay, and also you have to add the. You can go through the video, and I have already shared how to add the Palo Alto image as well as Windows machine in the EVNG. Okay, and once you add the image in the EVNG through WinSCP, you have to log into the EVNG through web browser. Okay, for every EVNG you will get an one IP. Okay, you can use an that IP to log into the web GUI of this EVNG. Once you log into this, it will be getting an one blank page like this. Okay, I have added the nodes, but without nodes you will get an one blank page. Okay, you can right click anywhere on this page. You will get an to add a new objects. So if you want to add the devices, you have to click on the nodes. Okay, yeah, if I want to add Palo Alto device, or you can also include Cisco images as well as Juniper, whatever the images that you want. So we are dealing with Palo Alto, right? I have added only the Palo Alto here. So when you click on the node, it will be redirect into the images. These are all the images that the EVNG will support. Whatever the things that you are seeing in the gray color, okay, those are the images are not available in the EVNG. So whatever the things that you are seeing in the blue color, those are the images available, and these are I manually added the images. Once you add the images, it will be seeing in the blue color. Okay, and I want to add the Palo Alto, right? So here in the search bar you can just type Palo Alto. So here you can get an Palo Alto. Just click on that Palo Alto, and whatever the image that you have added, it will show here. For now I have only 8.1.0, and I have gave you the Palo Alto 10.10. If you add that in the EVNG, it will be populate Palo Alto 10.10. Okay, and after that you have to increase the RAM. By default the RAM should be 4096, but if you want to run this Palo Alto image on the EVNG, the RAM should be minimum of 6.5 GB, but I'm giving an 7. Okay, and just click on save. Just increase the RAM. Apart from that, nothing needs to be changed here. Just click on save. The image will be added. Okay, and in the same way you need to add the Windows machine as well. Okay, if you want to add a Windows machine, click on node Windows. So if you click on Windows, it will be populating. I have Windows 7, and I have gave you to install the Windows 10, right? If you install, or if you added the Windows 10 image, it will show here. And for this 4096 is enough for the Windows. You can just click on save. It will be adding like this. Okay, and if you want to make connections, see here in this EVNG, what you have to do is you have to make the connection before turning on the devices. Once you turn on the devices, you will not be able to make connections. Okay, so one, we have to make the connections before turning on the devices. So I want to we need a management access to this firewall, right? We need to log into this firewall through the management interface. What we need to do is we need to add an one cloud. Okay, a management cloud. So the management cloud will be available in the network. Click on the network, and here in the type, it will be showing a bridge, right? You can if you drop down this, it will show management cloud. Just click on the management cloud and save it. So we need to connect this. Okay, we need to connect this management cloud. So how you can connect means, whenever the devices is not turned on, when you move the cursor on the devices, it will be showing the plug symbol, right? So you can click on that, hold that plug symbol and drag to the onto the devices. So just once you drag onto the devices, just leave it. It will show the to which interface that you need to connect. I want to connect this cloud to the management interface. So in the drop down, you will see Ethernet 1, Ethernet 2, Ethernet 3, and management. Okay, I want to use this cloud for management access, right? So I'm connecting to this management interface of the firewall. Just click on save. Just click on save. It will be connected, and I need to connect this firewall to the. Just a minute, guys. I'm getting a call. Yeah. See here, I want to connect this Windows machine to the one of the interface, okay, one of the data plane interface, okay. Just what you need is click on the plug symbol and drag onto the Windows machine. Just leave it. On the Windows machine, we will be having only one interface, okay, Ethernet E0. That is only one interface, and on the Palo Alto, we will be having three interfaces. You can connect whatever the interface that you want, okay. Just I want to connect, if you want to connect this in Windows machine Ethernet 1/1, I am just clicking on that. Just click on save. It will be connected, okay. And one more thing we need to do is, if we want to get internet to this Windows machine, we need to connect one of the cloud to the data plane interface, okay. Like this, how I can connect it here. You have to connect in the same way, okay. How you can connect means, just right click on that topology page, click on the networks, and you can also add one more management cloud, okay. So this management cloud, I am using it for to get an internet to the Windows machine. So I am using this, connecting on the firewall with Ethernet 1/2, okay, 1/2 or 1/3, whatever it may be, because I have already connected Ethernet 1/1 to the Windows management is already connected. That's fine. And if you click on Ethernet 1/1 or 1/2, you can, it will be connected to that. So now our topology is completed, okay. You have to make the connections before device turn on. See here, the devices turn on here. We are not getting any plug symbol, right? If I scroll the cursor on the devices, we are not getting any plug symbol. If I scroll on the devices which it hasn't turned on, it will show the plug symbol. So we want to make sure the topology is completed, and make sure you have to complete the topology before turning on the devices, okay. So once if you want to turn on devices, just right click on the device. It will show the start option, okay. It will show the start option. The device will be started. In the same way, you can also see this device as well, okay. You can just start the devices will be started, okay. Then how can we get the CLI, and how can we get the web GUI of this firewall means, once you we have already started, right? Once you click, okay, once you left click on this device, it will be getting to open an ultra VNC wrapper, okay. This is when how it will be open means, I have given you an Windows client side, right? EVNG Windows client side, that you have to install in your local machine, so that will be useful to open a CLI or open a Windows machine on your local machine, okay. So once I left click on this device, it will be going to open an ultra VNC wrapper. If you click on that ultra VNC wrapper, it will be opening with the Palo Alto CLI. This is a Palo Alto CLI, okay. So I have already had one Palo Alto which has already assigned an IP address, okay. I will show you that the same way, okay. I have already added in the same way. See here, this is my Palo Alto CLI, okay. And if I want to check the what is the IP address of my management, okay, there is a command called show interface management, okay. If you enter this command, it will get an management IP. See here, 192.168.0.121 is my firewall management IP. You can use this management IP through if you want to open an GA of the firewall, okay. If I want to open a GA of this firewall in the browser, you can use this management IP, okay. Where is that? Yeah, you can use this 192.168.0.121. You can use that. So here what I am doing is, here these devices are installed in my cloud lab. Okay, these devices are installed in my cloud lab, so I cannot access with this management because it is in the cloud. These are the private IP address. I cannot uh, log in this firewall using this management IP. So what we did is, we have one cloud IP, we did some port forwarding on this. So for that particular IP, we are using this 8092 port. So we can access that. We can access that firewall using this 8092. I think it is not 8092. Let me check. 8093. Yeah, it is an 8093. We did it manually. We did port forwarding manually here. Okay. See here, once I access the firewall, here what you need to do is, you are installing the firewall in your local laptop only, right? You can use directly this management IP. Okay, you can use this directly if your EVNG is installed in your local machine, and if you get an IP on this firewall, so you can use this management IP whenever you are doing lab in your local firewall. Okay, I'm not install this EVNG in my local machine. This is where I got from. We have installed it in the cloud. So I'm accessing this EVNG from the cloud. So I'm using the cloud IP with the port forwarding. Okay, the port which are assigned to that particular management firewall management IP. So I'm using the cloud IP with the port. So I'm able to access the firewall GA. Okay, once you log into the firewall GA, see here it will be prompting to the password. So once you log into this firewall, how the firewall looks like is, see here, this is how the firewall will be looks like when you open an GA of the firewall. Okay, we have a dashboard, we have an ACC tab, we have a monitor tab, policies, objects, network and devices. Okay, in the dashboard we will be see the some general information of the firewall. Okay, what is the firewall model? If you see here, if you see the management IP of the firewall 192.168.0.121, it is matching with my CLI, right? With my CLI management IP. Okay, so you will also see the management access, MAC address, and firewall model, firewall serial number. Okay, and also what is the mode, software version that install in the firewall. Okay, you can all see here. Okay, the firewall time and the firewall uptime. Okay, it is up from last 18 minutes. And apart from that, you can also see the system resource, like what is the utilization of management CPU and what is the utilization of data plane CPU. See here, this is the session counts. Okay, this in this PAVM 2,56,000 sessions are supported. Apart from that, only one session is utilized, and rest of the things are in the free pool. Yesterday we have discussed about the some session states, right? Whenever the sessions are available, these are the free pool. Okay, these are all the sessions which are available in the free pool, and one session is allocated, maybe that we can see later in this class. Okay, what type of session it is. These are the some general information of the firewall that we can see here. And this ACC tab is graphical representation of the all the logs. Okay, in the firewall all the logs will be stored, and all the firewall will all the logs in the monitor tab. Okay, see here in the monitor tab we'll be having logs. This is the traffic logs, threat logs, URL filtering logs, global protect. All the logs will be seen in the monitor tab. Okay, whenever you are going to troubleshoot any issues on the firewall, the main thing that you need to check is monitor tab. Okay, and if you want to configure any policies like security policy, NAT policy, and as well as some decryption policies, application override, policy based forwarding, all these will be in the policies tab. Okay, And in the objects we can create an objects. Okay, if we want to make create an objects, like if I want to assign some IP address, and this IP address needs to be configure in somewhere else, you can create an IP address object and you can call that object in anywhere in the policies. Okay, so in the objects we can be using in that way. In the network tab, mostly the interfaces, zones, and the routing part, the all the networking stuff will be available in the network tab. Okay, see here we will be having zones, VLANs, virtual wire, and virtual router, IPsec, GRE, and DSCP. All will be available. All the network stuff will be available in the network tab. Okay, we are enabling the interfaces here. Okay, all the things will be done here. And in the device tab, these are some general information about the devices. Okay, in the setup we will be having management. Okay, these are some general information about the device as well. In the operations tab, you can see some this operation tab will be used to take the backup or to load any to load any configuration versions, or to export any configuration from the firewall, or to import anything from to the firewall. You can do it from the pan operations tab. And here also you can do reboot and shut down the device from operations tab itself. Okay, and in the services, these are the services tab where this firewall will be. Here we are using one update server. Okay, these updates.paloaltonetworks.com is an one update server where all the updates are coming from. Okay, when you have reachability to this update server with the firewall, so the firewall will be reaching to this update server, and the firewall will get all updates from the update server. Okay, what are the updates means? We have software updates, we have dynamic updates, we have license updates. Okay, all these things will be Palo Alto stored in this update server. If any of the firewall will able to reach update server, and they will be able to get all the updates. Okay, and to reach this update server, you need to have the DNS. Okay, because here we are using FQDN of the update server, right? It has to be resolved. So to resolve this update.paloaltonetworks.com, we need to have an DNS server configured. We are configuring 8.8.8.8 global DNS server. Okay, and this interface is a management interface. Okay, here the whatever the management interface IP we are seeing here, this 192.168, this show interface management we are seeing in the CLI, right? If you want to see in the GI, you have an interface where you will be having management interface. See here the IP address 192.168.0.0.121, and the services enabled on this particular interface is ping, HTTPS, and SSH. So HTTPS is enabled, so we are by default these three will be enabled. Okay, because we need to, if you want to ping any of the other devices, the ping should be enabled. And if you want to access this firewall through this management IP with, in the web browser, we need to enable see here, if you disable this HTTPS, we will not be able to log into this firewall with the WebGA. Okay, by default this HTTPS, SSH, and ping should be enabled. Okay, and here the permitted IP address is there. What this permitted IP address means, whenever you are adding any IP address. Okay, for suppose my Windows machine address is 10.10.10.10. Okay, whenever you are adding this IP address, this management access of the firewall will be provided only to this particular permitted IP. If any IP address are mentioned here, the firewall will provide only management access to those IP addresses only. I have mentioned only one IP address, right? So we will be able to log into this firewall with the with the WebGI with the Windows machine which has this 10.10.10.10 IP address. Okay, so if you are not including anything, we can access this firewall with any of the device. Okay, if you are adding any particular IP addresses here, so the firewall will provide access to those IP to those machines only. Okay, we can restrict the access by using permitted IP address. If I want to provide access to only some of the Windows machines, you can add here. If you want to if you want to provide management access of the firewall for every device, don't add anything here. It will be provide access to all the devices. Okay. And here this telemetry, content ID, wildfire, or rest of the things. Okay, that we are not dealing here. And these are the things mainly that we need to focus. Okay. And if we are going to for the today's lab, what are the things that we need to configure is first thing is we need to enable the interfaces. Okay. You see here, this is our topology, right? We have an firewall, Windows machine, and our Windows machine is our firewall is connected to the cloud. Okay. This is a management cloud. Sorry, this is a cloud, that management cloud that are connected to the Ethernet 1/1. This is our management cloud. Okay, which is connected to our management interface. This is connected to management interface. Windows machine is connected to Ethernet 1/1, and this firewall is connected to Ethernet 1/2, right? This is Ethernet 1/1, Ethernet 1/2, and this is a management MGMT. This is a management where we can get an management access. Okay. We have already got, right, 192.168.0.121 from this cloud. So we are accessing this firewall using that IP address. Okay. And what are the things that we need to configure is, the first thing we need to configure is we have to configure as zones. Okay. Configure zones. What are the zones that we need to configure here? Okay, for our internal network, okay, our internal network we need to configure one zone. For outside network we need to configure another zone in the firewall. Okay, let's suppose take this is an inside zone, this is a outside zone. Okay, we need to configure these zones in the firewall. First thing is we need to configure as zones, and the second thing is enable the interfaces. Okay, we need to enable the interfaces. How we can enable the interface means, we already have a list of interfaces in the network tab. Okay, I have already shown you, right? In the network tab we'll be having interfaces. These interfaces already available, but we need to enable. Okay, these whatever the interfaces available there, all those are in the shutdown mode. So we need to enable that. Okay, how we can enable means, we need to configure. We are mostly using interface types as an L3, because we are participating all this in the L3 interfaces only. Okay, because all these Windows machine and cloud will be using an IP addresses, and mostly communicating with an IP address, right? So we are enabling these interfaces with an L3 type. So enable the interface with L3, and after enabling interfaces, what we need to do is, whatever the interface that we are placed in the zones, we have called that zones. Okay, we have to add the zone. For Ethernet 1/1, which is a zone that we have configured, this is an inside. You have to add Ethernet 1/1 in the inside zone, and Ethernet 1/2 in the outside zone. Okay, we need to add the zone. And next thing is, and we need to add the virtual router. Okay, why virtual router means, these are the L3 interfaces, right? For all the L3 interfaces we need to have the virtual router, where this virtual router will be acting as an router. Okay, router, and all the routing information will be taking place from this virtual router. Because if I want to access it, if I want to access Ethernet internet from this PC, if we are trying to ping 8.8, the traffic has to be route, right? So if the traffic reaches the firewall, and if you don't have any virtual router, it won't process, it will drop the packet here, right? So for that purpose, because we are using all this an L3, so we need an virtual router where all the routing part will be taken care in the virtual router. Okay, So we need to add zones, and also we need to add then virtual router. After that, we need to configure an IP address. Okay, configure IP address on Ethernet 1/1 and 1/3. Okay, whatever the interfaces that we are connected. Here, let's suppose I am taking some 30.30.30.0/24 network in this inside network. Okay? Our inside network is 30.30.30.0/24. So I'm configuring some 30.30.30.10 in this Ethernet 1/1, and also I will configure one of the IP address from this subnet. Okay. Here on this Windows machine, we will be configuring IP address in both ways. You can get an IP address from the DHCP server, or you can configure manually. If you want to get an DHCP IP address from the DHCP server, what we need to do is we need to enable DHCP server on the firewall on this interface. Okay, I will show you how we can enable the DHCP server as well. Okay, and after configuring IP address, we have to create an interface management profile. Okay, interface management profile to allow ping. Okay, we need to configure interface management profile to allow the ping and HTTPS. For suppose if I lost the management access of this management interface, I need to log in with an Ethernet 1/1. So I want to enable HTTPS using an interface management profile. But why we need to enable ping means, if you want, if you want to allow ping on this interface. Okay, we are trying to ping 8.8 from this Windows machine, and that ping reaches here on this interface. It will check whether the ping is enabled or not. The by default ping is disabled, ICMP is disabled on this firewall. We need to enable the ping. Okay, we need to enable the ping on the on this Ethernet 1/1, so that the ping traffic will be enabled. Okay, and this HTTPS, we are configuring this HTTPS only for the management access. Okay, for management access, for redundancy for the management interface. Okay, this is about the interface configuration, and after that what we need to do is the third thing we need to configure is an security policy. Okay, this security policy, why we need security policy means, we need to allow based upon the security policy only, the firewall will allow or deny the traffic. So in that way the security policy will be used. And the fourth thing is an NAT policy. Okay, see here, in last class we have discussed about the NAT, right? In order to, the NAT policy will be used in the two ways. Okay, to preserve our or to conserve our private IP address whenever you are going outside, and also these NAT policies will be helpful to get an internet to your PC. Okay, because if you want to reach if you want to reach the outside, the firewall won't allow the traffic if there is no NAT. Okay, if there is no NAT, the firewall will won't leave the traffic, leave this our private traffic outside of the network. Okay, so basically the NAT policies will be configured for two types, to conserve our private network. Okay, and it will be translating our private IP to the public IP that we have configured on this Ethernet, and also to get an internet. Okay, to get an internet to our PC, we will be able to configure an NAT policy. Okay, see here, these are the basic configuration that we need to do on the firewalls. Okay, let's go ahead and configure this. Before proceeding that, do you have any questions, or do you have any need clarifications? Yeah, yeah, SNAT and DNAT. Yeah, we are using. So see here, our traffic is going from inside to outside, right? For suppose I want to access 8.8, our traffic is going from inside to outside. So we are configuring SNAT here on the firewall. We are configuring SNAT. Yeah. Here we are using an dynamic IP input. Okay, we are using PAT. So if we connected multiple devices also, we'll need only one IP, one public IP, right? So we are going with an dynamic IP endpoint here on the firewall. Sorry, Vishal. I think you are speaking. We are hearing like you are speaking from far. Can you place your mic on near your mouth so we can hear you clearly? Sorry. It's okay, but it's same thing. Okay. We are listening you that you are far from us. Yeah, it's perfect now. Yes. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will be depends upon the traffic, and it will also depends upon the NAT policy that we are configuring with the zones, right? If it's a source NAT, we have to mention to which zone it is coming, the traffic is coming, and to which zone it is going. So based upon that, the firewall will define whether it is a source NAT or destination NAT. Yeah, I will show you how we can configure and how the firewall will identify whether it has a source net, whether it has user destination net. Okay. Yeah. So here this is our firewall, right? The first thing we need to configure is and zones. How you can configure zone means in the network tab we'll be having interfaces and zones. See here, I have already configured an inside outside zone and VPN zone. And if you want to configure a new one, just click on add on the zones. It will prompt for the zone. And I am creating one more zone called trust zone. Okay. And you have to go with the type as an L3 because the interface that we are using as L3, right? So we are going with the trust zone as an L3 here. Just click on OK. Our zone will be created here. And if I want to create one more zone called untrust, okay, I'm creating an untrust, and the type is an L3. Click on OK. The zones will be created. Okay. Once the zone created completed, we need to go with the interfaces. Okay. Whatever the interfaces that we are using on the topology, what the interface that we are using here, we are using here 1/1 and 1/2, right? So we need to enable this 1/1 and 1/2. Here I have already enabled 1/1. If I want, if you guys want to enable for uh, for new firewalls, see here the interfaces should be like this. It will be in the link state is in grayed out, right? So it is not an up. Okay. If you want to enable that, just click on that interface. Okay. And you can on this interface we need to enable this as an L3, right? We have an interface type. Just go ahead on L3. Okay. Enable the L3. And the virtual router, we need to add the virtual router, right? So just click on virtual router and it will show. I have a default virtual router already created on this firewall, and I will use the default. if we want to create one more router, we can also create. I will show you how we can create that. Okay. And the security zones, whatever the security zone that we have configured, if you drop down this, it will be populated here. Okay. What the zone that I have created, the trust zone I have created, and it will I will be configuring this as a trust zone. Okay. And if I want to configure an IP address, here in the IPv4 we can configure an IP address for this particular interface. If you click on add, just whatever the subnet that you want, okay, you can go with whatever the subnet, okay. Just suppose 192.168.1.100, okay, 100/24, give the subnet mask. And after that, IPv6 is not needed, SD-WAN is not needed. If you are using SD-WAN, you can enable that SD-WAN. And in the advanced tab, what you have to do is we have to go with a management profile. This management profile is an interface management profile. We can configure this interface management profile. Okay, if you click on OK, it will be the interface will be configured. See here, if you want to configure interface management profile, just click on interface management profile. It will show here. I already configured allow ping, right? To what I did is I have enabled the ping and HTTPS. Okay, and you can configure here and just go ahead on the interfaces. You can just call that interface management profile there. Go on the advanced tab. You can see a management profile. Just click on allow ping. Whatever the interface management profile that we have only allow ping. Okay, for suppose if I want to create another one, just click on add. Name is allow internet. Okay, I'm the name is not a mandatory one. Okay, you can use the name whatever the name that you want. And I'm enabling the services HTTPS, SSH, telnet, HTTPS for that particular traffic. What I am doing is I am calling this interface management profile on the interface, whatever the interface that I am just showing an example. Okay, this Ethernet 1/1 I am not using, but I am showing how you can enable the interface. Okay, you can just click on interface management profile, allow internet, whatever that interface man profile we have created. Okay, and MTU, if you want to configure MTU, you can configure. Otherwise, it will be going with an default MTU with 1500. Okay, and these are the things that you need to configure on the interface. Okay, see here, whatever the configuration that we have configured, it will be reflecting here. And in the same way, you can also configure an Ethernet other interface. Here, what I am doing is this Ethernet 1/2. This Ethernet 1/2 I have connected to the cloud, right? What you need to do is this Ethernet 1/2 you have to enable the DSCP client on this, because we have connected this Ethernet 1/2 to the cloud, right? So we don't know what is the next hop IP, or what may be the what may be the subnet that the cloud has. If we configure this Ethernet 1/2 with one IP, that should be matching with the IP address on the other side, right? This should be in the same subnet. But in the cloud, we don't know what is the subnet that they are using. So that's why we are enabling DSCP client here. So whatever the DSCP server available here in the cloud, it will be assigned the IP address. Okay, how we can enable means on the Ethernet 1/2. Okay, same way you have to enable L3, and you have to you have to configure a virtual router. Okay, here I am going with a default one only, and whatever the interfaces, okay, whatever the interface that we are using here, all should be in the one virtual router. Okay, because the virtual router is acting as a router, right? So if you are using different virtual routers, it will be acting as a different routes. Okay, and in that case, what you have to do is, if you want to reach from this router, this virtual router to this virtual router, again we have to create in one route. Okay, instead of that, we have to place all the interfaces in virtual router, so all the routes will be in one router, so we don't need to configure any extra routes. Okay, so whatever the interface that you are enabling here, proceed with the only one virtual router, whether it is a default, or whether if you have any option to configure, you can configure one virtual router for those, and you can add all those interfaces in that virtual router. Okay, And this security zone, I'm going with an outside, right? So I'm calling this an outside. So I configured that security zone and outside. So it will be I call here. And in the IPv4, we have an option static, PPPoE and DHCP client. Okay. So here on this, I'm configuring this Ethernet 1/2 as an DHCP client, so that we'll get an IP from the cloud. Okay. And on the other type, don't what we call don't enable management profile. Okay, management profile on the outside interfaces. Okay, because if you enable the management profile on this outside interface, the firewall will seems to be vulnerable, because if you allow ping or if you enable HTTPS on this particular interface, they will know the IP address of this interface, right? They will be able to access our firewall using HTTPS with the IP address. Okay, don't enable management profile on the outgoing interfaces. Okay, because they will be able to know the IP address, because we have enabled the DHCP client. So they will be able to able to know the IP address of this interface. And if you enable HTTPS and ping on this particular interface, that interface will be mostly vulnerable to the attacks. So the attackers will easily able to log into our firewall. You have to enable the interface management profile only on the trusted interface, or our local, our inside network interfaces only, because we know what are the systems, how it behaves, but we don't know outside network, right? And we don't know how the systems will behave. So don't enable interface management profile on the outside interfaces. Okay, so I'm not going to enable interface management profile, and I'm just going with an DHCP client on this Ethernet 1/2. So once you click these are the interface configurations. Okay, these are the interface configurations. And after the interface configurations, we need to configure and policies, right? If you want to configure policies, just click on policies. Okay, see here, I want to create one policy where the traffic is I want to allow the traffic from inside to outside. And because I want to access internet, right? I want to access internet, so that I want to allow the traffic from our inside to outside. I have to reach the my Windows machine to the internet, so that I will get an internet and I will to access the resources. Okay. For now, if let's open this Windows machine. Let me stop this once. See here, once I turn on the Windows machine, it will be prompt for the password. The default password of this Windows machine is test123. Okay, the first T is a capital. Okay, capital TEST123. The Windows machines that are installing in the EVNG will be having an all Windows machine having the password same. Okay, test123, the capital T is same. Okay, and see here, I think we already had an let's see what is the IP that we have already configured. It seems it is having an IP address. You know, right? How to configure an IP address on this Windows machine? Okay, I will show you. Let's go with then policy creation. Okay, see here we have an policy, right? We need to create a policy. If you want to create a policy, just click on add. Okay, and what you need to do is just go with the name. Okay, allow internet. I want to allow the internet to my PC and go with the source zone. Okay, what is the source zone here? Our Ethernet once our Windows machine is in inside zone, right? So this is the inside zone. So you need to call that zone here. That is a source zone. Okay, just click on add and click on inside zone. And you need, if you want to add, you can also add the source address. What is the source address? You have to add this Windows machine IP. What is the Windows machine IP? We have 30.30.30.2. Okay, if you can add, you can also add, otherwise you can left over. So what it means, whatever the traffic coming from inside zone with the source address 30.30.2, and the traffic, whatever the traffic that is going to the outside zone. Okay, because I want to go outside of our firewall, and to reach internet we have configured an outside zone. Whatever the zone that you have configured, you can call there. I am using inside and outside, right? So I am going with an inside outside. So our destination zone is outside. And if you want to mention, you can also mention destination address. Okay. For now, I don't have any particular destination. I want to reach any destination address. Okay. And in the application, you can also mention application and whatever the application that the user or the Windows machine that needs to be accessed. Okay, you can just click on add. You can go with any application, Facebook. Okay, we have a Facebook, or if you want to go with Instagram, you can go with Instagram. Okay, likewise you can add then whatever the application that you want to allow, or whatever the application that you want to deny. Okay, but I'm going with any application, means it will be allow all the applications. Okay, in the service and URL category, the service, whatever the service that you want, services means the ports. Okay, if I want to add HTTP or HTTPS or any other port like SSH. Okay, there won't be an SSH port. Okay, we'll be having some default ports only. If you want to add, you can also add the SSH port. Okay, and but for now I'm just going with an any port. Okay, whatever the traffic, whatever the our my Windows machine trying to access, it will go with any port. And this is the most important tab in the firewall security policies actions. See here, in the actions we have discussed, right? In the actions we'll be having allow, deny, drop, reset client, reset server, reset both. Deny and drop, it will be acting as the same. It will drop the traffic. If you click on deny, it will be sending the ICMP error, ICMP unreachable message automatically. And if you click on drop, it will drop the traffic, but it won't send any ICMP unreachable message. Okay, if you want to send an ICMP unreachable message for even you have selected the drop, you can just enable this. It will be sending. Okay, this firewall will be able to send ICMP unreachable message if you selected drop, but by default it won't send. Okay, so for now I am going with an allow. Whatever the traffic that I want to initiating on the traffic, I want to allow from the firewall and need to reach the internet. Okay, so I'm just going with an allow, and rest of the things, the log settings. Okay, log setting means log at session start and log at session end. Okay, what it means, if you enable log at session start, what it will do is it will be logging the traffic in the monitor tab of the firewall when the session starts. Okay, when the SYN packet reaches the firewall, it will be logging the session. And when it will be ending the session means when it will send an fin bit, and we'll be going with TCP three-way handshake, and after that the data is transmitted between client and server, right? Once the communication ends and any one of the client or server send an fin bit, and it will log the session. Okay, it will log the session, and we can come to know what type of session it is and why the session is ended. Okay, so better go with that logget session end, because logget session start, we don't need a logget session start, because obviously if the session starts, we don't need to know about the session start, but we need to know logget session end, because we have to know, right, what happened if the session ends abruptly, or if the session ends without any TCP fin. We need to know why the session ends, right? So the logget session end is needed. So we need to enable logget session end, and rest of the things we will be not taking care of right now. In the upcoming classes, we'll comes to know. Okay, this is how you can create a policy. Okay, what you can do is how the policies will work. Okay, in the firewall, how the policies will work means, in the Palo Alto firewall, the policies will work from top to bottom. Okay, from top to bottom means, once any of the traffic reaches the firewall, what it will do is it will be checking. I told you, right, in the ingress stage it will be extracting the 6 tuples, and in the slow path it will be extracting the 7th tuple. Using those 7 tuple, it will be matching the security policy. If any of the security policy is matching with that 7 tuple, for suppose I initiated a traffic from inside zone, okay, from inside zone, with the source address 10.10. For suppose 30.30.30.2, and destination zone is outside, and destination IP is let's suppose 8.8.8.8, which is a port number so and so, and destination port is 443. Okay, and the protocol whatever we are using, whether it is an ICMP or whether it is an or TCP or UDP, it will match. Okay, so what it will do is, for that particular tuples, if there is any policies matching, what it will is, it will be checked first policy. If it is matching, and based upon the action, it will be allow or deny. If it is not matching that policy, it will comes to the second policy. Okay, it will comes to the second policy. For that tuples, it will check whether it will be checking whether this policy is matching or not, for the tuple that extracted in the ingress stage and slow path. Okay, until unless the policy is matching, the firewall will be going with the one by one policy. If there is no policies matching, okay, if there is no policy configured, or if there is no policy matching, it will be hitting this default interzone policy. Okay, it will be hitting default interzone policy, and by default it will be denied. Okay, if it is hitting default interzone policy, it is not matching with any of the policies that we have configured here. Okay, for suppose I have configured for particular traffic, I have configured this. What I am doing is, I am moving on to the top. Okay, because whatever the see here, if you have this policy on the bottom, okay, if you have this policy on the bottom, the firewall will be checking the policies from top to bottom, right? It will take some time it will take some time to get into the fourth policy and matching the traffic. Okay, and if you have any policies in between, if there is any policy matching with the tuples and set to block, we won't get any access to that, right? So whenever you are configuring any policy, make sure we don't have any we don't have any policy matching with the traffic with the action deny. Okay, if you have any policy matching with the tuples with the action deny, what you can do is, you can place this policy on top of this block policy. Okay, if you have an option to move up, okay, it will move one place up, and if you click on move top, it will be moving to the on top. Okay, so for now I'm going with an top. Okay, and to allow internet, I created this policy for this particular address, and after policy creation, we need to go with a NAT policy. Okay, we have to go with a NAT policy. See here, I have already created, right? For suppose I will be I will delete this policy, and I will show how can create. Okay, if you, for now we don't have any policy, just click on add. Okay, and go with an the naming convention is not necessary, but you should have use at least six characters here. Okay, Apart from that, nothing, and you can go with any name. Uh, this is a general thing, okay. You can just give the name, and in the original packet, what the original packet means, our original traffic, where it is where it is generating and where it is going, our general packet, okay. Where it is going means where it is what is the source zone, okay. My source zone is an inside, and it is going to the outside zone, okay. Here we are going to an outside zone, and what is the interface, okay. Here we are going outside interface. This is a destination outside interface. You have to call this ethernet 1/2, okay. And if you have a service, if you want to add any particular service, you can add, otherwise you can go with any. I'm just going with any. And if you have any source IP, if you have any particular source that you have to translate, for suppose I have 30.30.30.2 to translate, or if I have any other IP apart from 30.30.2, for suppose I have 30.30.30.3 as well, you can mention here whatever the source address that you need to translate, you can mention here, and it will be translating, okay. Otherwise I'm going with I'm not configuring any source addresses. I want to translate everything and whatever I am going to add in my network, okay. And this is our original packet, okay. And the next one is an translated packet. Translated packet means after translation how it will be like, okay. We have an source NAT, source address translation means source NAT, and destination address translation means destination NAT, okay. And this translation type should be we have dynamic IP and port, dynamic IP and static IP. Static IP means we, you know, right, static net, okay, one to one mapping. Static IP means one to one mapping. If you are using static IP, you have to mention the translated IP address here, okay. Translated address, whatever the translated address that you want, you can mention here. And also if you want, if you are using a dynamic net, you can go with dynamic IP, and you can mention the translated pool of IP address, okay. You have to mention the translated addresses. But if you want to go with pat, just a minute guys, yeah. See here, if you want to use a PAT, okay, PAT means port address translation. Here we'll be having dynamic AP and port. If you click on this, you will get an two types, okay. Address type will be having translated address or interface address. Translated address means if you have any IP address, okay, if you have any IP address that needs to be translated, you can mention, or otherwise you need to go with an any interface addresses, okay. Because I don't have any public IP right now, I want to go with an interface IP. Whatever the traffic receiving from this Windows machine, I need to translate with this Ethernet 1/2 IP address, okay. So I'm going with the Ethernet 1/2, okay. Ethernet 1/2, and this is a dynamic IP, right? So it will take whatever the IP that Ethernet 1/2 has, okay. This is how that you can configure whatever the sources that you want, you can mention here, and what is the translated IP that you are mentioning the translated packet. If you click on OK, our NAT policies configuration is completed, and also security policy is also completed. So once you are done with everything, once you are done with the configuration, you need to go commit the configuration, okay. Because whatever the configuration that we have made, it won't be reflected in the running config until we commit, okay. This is a commit where our changes, okay. One thing I have to tell you, right, whatever the configuration that we have made here will be in the candidate configuration, okay. We'll be calling it as a candidate configuration. The configuration which are before commit, okay, we didn't do any commit, right. Before the commit, we'll be calling as an candidate config, okay. Once you do the commit, the candidate configuration will be pushing to into the running config, okay. Once the commit is successful, all our configuration will be in the running config. So that what it will do means whenever the config is running config, that will be the real traffic will be take effects when the configuration in the running config. Okay, this configuration will won't take effect if it is a candidate config. If you are not doing any commit, the configuration that we have made will won't take any effect. Okay, until unless we made a commit. Okay, here once you click on the commit, you can see whatever the changes that we have. There is a preview changes. Okay, if you click on preview changes, it will show what are the changes that we have made. Okay, see here we have made changes. We have added this configuration, and we have allow internet interface management profile. We have created an trust zone and untrust zone. We have created an policy. Okay, whatever the changes that we have made, we can preview here in the commit preview changes. Whenever you are doing commit, right, in the production, to make sure go with the preview changes, you can check the changes that you have made are reflected here or not. Okay, if you are not seeing your configuration changes, maybe there are some other people that who are accessing the firewall, they are making changes. Make sure whatever the changes that you have made need to be reflected in the preview changes. Okay, just click on commit. Let's see if you have any. Here on this Windows machine, right? In the Windows machine, we will be able to configure an IP address in two ways, right? If you click on this Windows Open Network and Sharing Center, local area connection, go with the properties. Okay, and here IPv4, select IPv4, go it and properties. So here we can able to use IP address using the following IP address, or else you can go with an DHCP server as well. Okay, if you want to go with obtain the IP address automatically, you need to configure a DHCP server, or you need to configure DHCP on the firewall. Okay, DHCP on the firewall on which the Windows machine is connected. Here Ethernet 1/1 is there, right? On the Ethernet 1/1, you need to configure an DHCP server. If you want, I will show you. Otherwise, for now we'll go with this IP address. Okay, 30.30.30.2 and subnet 255.255.255.0, and default gateway is 30.30.30.10. Okay, the gateways, the our Ethernet 1/1 is the gateway for our Windows machine, right? So whatever the IP that we are configured and configuring as an gateway here. Okay, just click on OK, close, just close. Let's see if configuration is completed. Yeah, see here, once the configuration is completed successful, it will show the result as successful and status is completed. If you failed also, the status is completed, and the result will be shown as failed. And if the commit is failed, it will show the error here. Okay, in the below of the details, it will show the errors and what is the why the commit failed and what is the error. Based upon the error, you can rectify the configuration. For now, we don't have any commit failed. Okay, and the commit is the configuration is committed successfully. So our run of whatever the configuration that we have made will be in the running config. Okay, let's see if we are able to ping 8.8 from our Windows machine. Okay, if you are able to ping 8.8 from our Windows machine, we will be able to access the internet. Okay, yeah, we are able to ping an 8.8, right? So you can also go ahead and check on the browser if you are able to access any of the applications. Okay, like any of the Facebook or Instagram or anything, Flipkart, Amazon. Let's go ahead, give facebook.com. Yeah, we are able to reach. Okay, and let's go ahead with the Instagram as well. yeah, we are able to access the Instagram as well, because we have made the open policy, right? We have made open policy to access everything from my Windows machine. Okay, so if you want to see the if the traffic is going through the firewall or not, just go ahead on the monitor tab in the traffic logs. Okay, we have a traffic log. You will the firewall will log all the traffic from here. Okay, see here from 30.30.2 we able to reach 8.8, right? So here you can also filter based upon your source address or destination address or application. Okay, how you can filter is whatever you are seeing here, you can just click whatever you want. Okay, if I want to filter that this traffic based upon the source IP, okay, just click on source IP, it will add the filter here. So whatever the if I want only the traffic logs on this particular source, you can just click on filter and apply filter here. You'll have an arrow symbol, right? That will be an apply filter. You can just click on that apply filter. It will be logging all the it will be filter all the traffic logs for this particular source. Okay, and I want to add one more filter. Okay, application. Okay, in the application I want to filter only ping. Okay, what I will do is I will modify this as an ping. Just apply that filter. We can get only the ping. Okay, we see here today I have pinged that from 30.30.30.2 from 8.8, right? The application ping, it is filtered. And if you want to view the detailed log of this particular traffic, we have a magnifying glass here. Click on the magnifying glass, it will show all the information. Okay, see here, this is a session ID, this is our rule. Okay, we have to check every time when you are seeing the traffic, you have to check whether it is hitting the correct rule or not. Okay, we have created a allow internet rule, right? It is hitting the correct rule. Okay, if it is not hitting the if you see the traffic is not hitting the correct rule, and if you see if you are not getting any response from 8.8.8, first thing you need to check is you need to check the rule. What is the rule that we have configured and what is the rule that the traffic is hitting? We have configured an allow internet, right? And the traffic is also hitting the correct rule. So here you can check the source. This is the source, and here see here our natted IP. This is our to which IP address that we have natted means in the Ethernet 1/2, right? In the Ethernet 1/2, if you click on dynamic DSCP client, it will show here. Okay, this is the IP that is Ethernet 1/2 we got, and from DSCP see on this from the DSCP server we got 192.168.0.115 IP on this Ethernet 1/2, and we are natting to this IP. Whenever the traffic comes from this particular Windows machine, it translates to this IP address. How we can know the translation is happening means here in the monitor tab. Okay, in the monitor tab we will be having detailed log view. If you see the natted IP here, if you see the natted IP, so we can comes to know that this traffic is natting. See on the destination net the IP address is same. So if IP address is showing as the same, we are not doing an destination net. But here the source IP is different, right? The source IP is 30.2, but natted IP is 192.168.0.115. So that we can know from this we can know its source NAT is happening. Okay, from the logs we can know that the source NAT is happening, and also you need to mostly focus on the rule that we have configured, and also the bytes received and bytes sent. Okay, see here whenever whenever you are facing issues, for suppose I'm saying that whenever trying to ping from my Windows machine, I'm not able to get the response. Okay, for suppose whenever trying to ping 8.8.8, for now I'm getting response. If you are not getting response, you need to check. Okay, you need to check this bytes received and bytes sent. Okay, if byte received is not increasing and byte sent is increasing, what it means, byte sent means the firewall is sending the packets. Okay, the firewall is sending the packets, and if byte received is not increasing, we are not receiving the we are not receiving the packets or we are not receiving the traffic. Okay, that is in that way you can isolate the issue. If the byte sent is increasing, there is no issue with the firewall. Our firewall is sending the traffic, but we are not receiving. There may be issue with the from other end. So whenever you are facing the issue, you can check the traffic logs for that particular source and destination, and check the rule whether it is hitting the correct rule or not, and check that bytes received and bytes sent. Okay, so you can comes to know whether issue with the firewall or issue with the other devices. If byte sent is increasing and received is not increasing, it is not issue with the firewall. But we are receiving the traffic, but the byte sent is not. We are not sending any packets. So that is issue with the firewall. Okay. In that case, we need to take the some we need to have some basic we need to do some basic troubleshooting. Okay, the basic troubleshooting we will be discussing tomorrow. Okay, and from the CLA also you can see the sessions. How we can see the session means the same session logs, whatever you are seeing in the GUI, you can also see the same one. Okay, if you want to see the sessions, there is a command called show session all. See here, whatever the traffic that is receiving on the firewall, it will be logging here. Okay, in the session logs. For suppose I will take one session here. Okay, we will be having for every session we will be having some ID. Okay, and let's take I am going with an 252 session. If you open that particular session, show session ID 252, whatever the session ID that you want, you can mention here. See here, I told you right. Whenever the firewall extract the tuples, it will be matching with. It will tries to check if there are any particular session available for the tuples, right? So these are the session table where the session are created in the firewall. Okay, for existing sessions, the session will be like this. Okay, and we'll be having C2S flow where is from 30.30.30.2, which is from inside zone, and the destination IP is this, and protocol source port, destination port. Okay, source port here, destination port here. See here, the state is active state. If the state is active, the firewall will be actively participating in the traffic, and it is sending the traffic out. Okay, this is from C to S flow, and S to C flow is this one. Okay, S to C flow means this traffic coming from the server. Okay, server to the client. The source IP of the server is this, and destination IP is different. Okay, because we are doing a source NAT, right? So whenever you are doing the source NAT, the packet coming from outside will be destined to our NATed IP. Okay, once this NATed IP comes, it will be translating our IP. Okay, and rest of the things you need to check is the same one. Okay, NAT rule you can check. Okay, the rule, the policy. Okay, security policy and application and egress interface and ingress interface and egress interface, that we need to check here. You can also check from the CLA as well in this same way. Okay, this is how you can configure an policies, and you can enable the interfaces like this, and whatever the traffic that is the traffic receiving on the firewall, it will be logging in the monitor tab, and you can, based upon the filters, you can check the traffic, and check the traffic detailed traffic logs, whether it is hitting the right policy or not. Okay, do you have any queries or any clarifications on this? Yes. Hmm. Yeah, you see here, you can also particular traffic, you can also have the command called show session all filter. Okay, source, whatever the source that you want. Okay, for suppose I want source 10.30.30.30.2, and the destination you can also filter with the destination 8.8.8.8. Okay, It will filter all the traffic that is going for that particular source and destination. And if you want to have particular, if you want to filter the sessions with particular application, you can go with an application and you can mention whatever the application. If you have a Facebook, if you have a ping, if you click for that application, you can. For now, we don't have an real-time ongoing traffic for the ping, so it will not showing. So you can also filter with the application as well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Coming because we are a state data center where we don't receive traffic outside India, only India traffic is being received.
Mm-hmm.
So we have blocked the malicious or cert advisory traffic which they give us to block.
Yeah.
So we have blocked.
Yeah.
So in case of Palo Alto,
Mm-hmm.
how it will check because after that we have given accept traffic for whatever traffic is going outside to internet and other things.
Yeah.
So in terms of Palo Alto, how the tuple will work, we have deny, then we have accept below.
Yes.
So can you just give a brief idea, or in a lab you will give a same if we have a drop first, then we allow. Then how it is checking the tuple because you say it matches the tuple like destination it is deny
See,
and
here in the firewall, whatever the policies that we have configured, it will be going with a policy lookup from top to bottom, right? Okay.
right,
For suppose I have an traffic, okay, from with source IP 30.30.30.2 and going to the destination, let's suppose 192.168.100.1. It is going with the destination to the destination, and we have source zone as an inside and destination zone as an outside, okay. And also we have source port, right? We have a source port. Let's take for suppose any random source port, and the destination port as well, okay. Let's for suppose 443, and protocol, whatever the protocol that we are using, if you are using any TCP or UDP or ICMP or any other protocol, okay.
any if you use any is there for drop let's
Yeah,
take example
any further drop, okay. Protocol any means whatever the protocol that we are getting first, it will be dropping with this, okay. And action
right,
set as a drop, okay.
right,
It is on the top. This is a
right,
first policy. Let's take this is a first policy, and we have created a second policy for the same, okay. 30.30.30.2, and we have a destination IP 192.168.100.1
100.2.
to
So
a.
we take example of 100.2 which is we will be allowing that.
Yeah, we will be allowing, and it is coming from the same inside zone to outside zone, okay. And let's take any random port 432 source port, and we'll go with the destination port 443, and you can mention here what are the protocol that you are going to use, okay. If any protocol that is matching with this particular source IP and destination and source zone and destination zone, it will be drop here, okay.
Right.
For any for if you have any particular if you have any particular protocol, for suppose if you want to allow any ping ICMP. See here the first traffic the we'll having, this is a drop, right?
Right.
And here we have allow.
Right.
So what the firewall will check is, first firewall check this first policy, and it will be checking what is the source IP. If you are coming with the source IP 30.2 and going 100.1, and it will check what is the source zone that you are coming from, and
In terms of tuples, means to say in terms of tuples,
yeah,
these
tuples
are
only.
tuples.
These are the tuples only. Source IP, source destination IP, source zone, destination zone, source port, destination port. This is a protocol, and action is set to drop, right? Whatever
Right.
the traffic coming from this particular source and destination, and it will check the protocol. Okay, it will check the protocol, and it will the action is set to drop, right? Whatever the traffic coming from any protocol, it will be checking this first policy, and it will be dropping. If it is ping also, if it is ICMP also, it is matching with this policy only. Even though we have configured an explicit rule that needs to be allow on this ICMP, it will be hitting this policy because we have made this policy, we have made protocol as an any, and the action set to be drop, right? So it will be hitting this first policy, and it will be dropping this ICMP traffic as well, because it is matching with any protocol, right?
Right, right.
In order to avoid that, what we do is we create a policy with for particular protocol, and will be keep on top of this block policy. Okay, if you have, if you have a policy with drop with protocol any, and if you want to allow any specific protocol, what you have to do is you have to configure a policy, and you have to place this policy on top of the drop policy. Then only the firewall will allow the ICMP traffic, otherwise it will be dropping with the first for whatever the policy that we have on the top, that is an drop.
So, sir, practically, like if we want to have a policy where we want to drop a policy for any traffic coming from inside,
Yeah.
going to country China,
Mm.
and any service,
Yeah.
any destination. Like,
Yes. Yes.
I hope in Palo Alto it would be having the country codes also.
Yes, it will be having country codes as well.
So, if we make this policy on top,
Mm.
will that work, or it will be coming in down? Because in checkpoint, what I have seen that uh, we have been dropping first policy drop
Mm.
for malicious like example, because it is as per our scenario that
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't want traffic, user traffic,
Mm.
or any traffic which is going outside
Mm.
or coming from China as well
Yeah.
to our data center.
Mm. See, in the Palo Alto, the policy will be working from top to bottom. If you have configured a draw policy on top, and the traffic is matching with the draw policy, the firewall will drop obviously the traffic. Okay, if the traffic is not matching with the draw policy, and it will be coming to the next policy. Okay, until unless it matches the policy, it will be checking each and every policy. If you have 100 policies as well,
Okay, because
it will be going with 100 policies to match any of the policies matching with that particular tuple or not.
right, because in here we have in the example we have in the first policy we have given any
Yes, yes,
protocol.
any protocol.
That's why it will not allow the second policy will
Yeah,
not come into effect.
it will, the second policy will not come into effect. So in order to the second policy come into effect, what you have to do is you have to uh, move the policy on top of this drop policy. Then only this second policy will be come into effect. This ICMP traffic will be allowed, and rest of the traffic, if apart from ICMP, it will not matching with this. Okay, even though it is on the top, it is not matching with this ICMP policy. It will be going with the next policy, which is an any policy with the action drop. It will drop the traffic.
Okay. So then now the third part coming to, so can you open that interface where we were enabling netting, the page
Nat.
option?
Okay, you are asking this.
Yes, sir. So that source destination is fine, sir. If we click on the translated packet,
Okay,
now the translated packet means, sir.
translated packet means we are saying that whatever the traffic coming from inside to outside, and if you mentioned any of the source IP, okay, we have a source address, right? If you are mentioning any source IP, that source IP will be translated to this particular interface IP. Okay,
Okay, for yes, and I got point. Like for example, uh,
for example,
we have
I have a multiple IP address. For suppose I
yes,
have 30.30.30.2. I included 30.2. Okay. Whenever traffic hitting this, whenever traffic coming from 30.2 from inside zone, then only it will be translating to this Ethernet 1/2 IP address.
No.
Rest of the traffic will not hit this NAT policy. Okay.
Okay, sir, and how will implement a policy like netting? For example, we have web server also, like told you, web server hosted.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have a WAF also. WAF is like a virtual IP,
Okay.
which is like we NAT that particular IP,
Mm.
the public IP, which I have assigned, which if you type say any website uk.gov.in,
Okay.
so you come to that website and then it will hit that and that particular IP. But
Mm-hmm.
suppose that particular web server,
Okay.
which is the IP of that particular physical server,
Okay.
so that application guy wants to communicate to update something from outside, or he wants to do some direct benefit transfer, or something which he wants to use
Mm-hmm.
publicly for that particular server. I want to give it similar IP
Mm.
uh, to that because already I have netted.
Mm.
I have static netted to a virtual server,
Okay.
and I also want to give that server that IP also. So how can I give that IP to this server also in Palo Alto?
In Palo Alto, the particular the IP address, we whatever the traffic that needs to be transmitted, that we can mention here itself. We cannot assign that particular IP to the server.
Okay.
We don't have such options. Okay, whatever the server IP that we need to translate, we can mention here, and whatever the translated, whatever the IP address that needs to be translated, that that we can mention here. That's it.
Okay, the translated IP and netted IP can be different, sir?
No, no, the both are same only. The natted IP and translated IP both are same. The original packet will be having our private IP, and translated a packet and natted IP will be same.
Okay.
Yeah. Any
And sir,
any any other
yeah,
questions?
yeah, and one more last one.
Hmm.
In the lab, you have given in outside interface, to outside zone, you have given two interfaces
Which one?
in
This
the
one?
lab. In the lab, sorry, in the
Here,
Palo Alto
device.
device.
This one.
Uh, the other ones are where we have interfaces written.
You're asking about topology or?
In the device GUI, the GUI,
Yeah, in the device GUI, this is the device
we
GUI.
have
This is the device GUI only.
yeah, where we have configured at the outside. It is also written outside
You are asking about zones or?
zones. Yes, yes.
Yeah, here
So
it's
in
the zones.
outside we have two interfaces
Yeah,
which
you
are assigned.
can. Yeah, you can give. You can use multiple interfaces in one zone. Okay, because this is a concept, right? Whatever the interfaces that we want to communicate in the, if we want to communicate, we can add those interfaces in one zone, so that Ethernet 1/1 and 1/2 are in the outside zone. They will be able to communicate without any security policy. Okay, if you want to communicate between Ethernet 1/1 and 1/2, we need to create a security policy. That's where we are configuring policies here. One thing you have to note down is you can add multiple interfaces in one zone, but you cannot assign multiple zones in one interface. You have only one zone with one interface. Okay,
Okay.
you can
So
add multiple interface in one
this
zone, but you cannot add
okay.
multiple zones in one interface. Okay.
Multiple, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because this scenario which you are right now showing, maybe where we have two or three or two ISPs terminated on outside zone, we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
use that.
we can use that. Yes.
And the type is layer 3 means I couldn't understand that
Layer 3
layer 3
means
means.
this is an network layer, right? So whatever that we are communicating between zones, we are communicating with an IP address. So that's why we have configured that zones as in layer 3.
Okay, okay, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, no issues. Yeah. Any other doubts or any other clarifications? Others? Yeah, that's all for today class. Okay, tomorrow we'll be going to do and some basic troubleshooting on this firewall. Just one thing you have to do is just come up with the lab tomorrow. Okay, just try to install the lab with our reference video. Okay, and just come up with the lab tomorrow so that you will be able to understand what I'm doing and what I'm configuring. Okay, you have to practice that this basic lab as well. Okay, just let me know if you
Okay.
are facing any issues with lab installation. I will be available and I will help you to resolve that. Okay.
Sir, I have one downside. My laptop is not working.
Mm.
One laptop which I have is very low on RAM.
Okay.
Another one is gone for repair. It will be back by 20th March. But I
Oh,
am able to. That's why I am able to visualize what I work in checkpoint. I am
okay,
try
okay.
to.
Yeah, yeah, okay, okay. If you have any issues with your laptops, just let me know. We'll be also having our cloud lab. Okay, you can
Okay, sir.
access that cloud lab as well. Okay.
Okay, sir.
If you
Thank
need
you.
any access for that, just let me know when you are doing lab. I will provide access so that you can prepare. You can do the lab on the cloud lab as well.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no issues. Okay, guys, that's all for today's class. I'm stopping the